Second war summary coming here. It's actually been a few wars since the last war summary. Just trying to mess with this recorder. So I got verified, and hopefully I can make videos longer than 15 minutes now. So let's kind of go through this. This was a really good war, and we won. Yay. A couple of their guys didn't attack at the end, and they've since been booted out of their clan. We checked in on it. But let's kind of go through a little bit here. Had some 6-star cats, Doja, Deacon, Dreadix, a lot of these, Ox, Thane, all 6-star cats. But let's talk about some war highlights. Okay, so Karma wanted me to hit on 3 and 12. I'm going to do that. I'm also going to hit on 6 and 5 for a couple of reasons. So let's start with 3. This was 3-starred by Karma. This base took like 4 hits from our guys. The first, so I want to talk about it. It was in top 5. I just wanted it 2-starred. Well, the first attack was Bob, who I wanted him to 3-star. He didn't. That's fine. And then for cleanup, I wanted 2 on it because it was in top 5, and I was kind of just wanting to make sure we had 2 on all of them so I could pick and choose between which ones our cleanup guys went after. So we had several guys try to 2-star this base and fail, which was a little surprising because this base looks pretty easy to 2-star, and I think a variety of problems led to that. So anyway, Karma's 3-starring it. This is like the 4th swing at this base. So Karma kind of had an idea as to what was coming and where it was coming from. There's a Tesla farm in the middle. The Queen's walking around at the top. There's 2 double giant bombs right between this set of defenses and again between this set of defenses. And Karma knows all that going into it. But so did the last couple guys. So let's go ahead and play it. There is a CC Hound, which Karma does the proper lure on. He gets it out. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Gets it to the corner and forgets about it. He's got this is the 2 archer healer Hound Stopper. The healer will only focus on them if there's 2 of them, not 1 of them, which is why he's using 2. And that's pretty much going to put the Hound out of commission for 90% of the fight. So, if you don't know how to fight a Hound, this is a good way to just kind of pull it off to the side if you don't want to deal with it. Alright, so, back to the fight. So we have, he's going to drop a column, he's going to Suicide King the Archer Queen. For those newer 9s that don't know how that mechanic works, the Barbarian King is going to lock on the Archer Queen as soon as she shoots any of your troops that are within the Barbarian King's visual range. He will stop whatever he's doing and go beat her up. Every so often the game glitches, it doesn't happen, but 98% of the time he's going to drop what he's doing and go beat her up if he sees her and she's shooting at anything, and he almost always wins that fight. If they're within 5 levels of each other, even if he's the lower level one, he's winning that fight, even without the rage. So we call this a Suicide King because, well, actually that's not exactly what Karma did. The Suicide King is where the Archer Queen is vulnerable. You just drop the Barbarian King near her, he drops what he's doing and goes and kills her. We don't care what happens to him after that. That's a Suicide King. Here he actually had some golems and kind of wanted the king to live a little bit. Also, guys, for killing those Archer Queens, note that it doesn't really matter where her pad is so much. In general, she's going to hop over 1 layer of wall to come engage if that pad's anywhere near a wall. So, in this instance, even if the Archer Queen had been on the other side, unless the Barbarian King is already dropped right into range and she doesn't have to move at all, she's going to hop over the wall to come engage. So if you're trying to pull an Archer Queen out of a base, you can usually count that she's going to hop the first wall. Anyway, fun extra tips. Okay, so obviously this whole middle was vulnerable, it was open. It's kind of a trap because if you dump your force in the middle, it's going to scatter. Karma knew that. So you noticed how he picked most of his army to come in right on the one wall. The golems came in on that wall. The idea being that he wants to kind of pull that kind of edge away, that one wall away, and make it so his guys are less likely to split multiple directions. So he does that. He hogs in, loses some hogs when they split after killing the Tesla farm. More hogs coming in on the base, so he's going to go hog the base. It's pretty spread out. He has a lot of heals. It's just a matter of time if he's going to get this base. He knows the double bombs are down. Usually the problem that you run into here is everything's too spread out, and you can't get your hogs to go where they need to go, or they split or whatever. Karma did a very good job of separating the hogs at first with the idea of them coming back together. And now it's just whether or not he's got enough time to clean all this up, which he does end up with it. I think he has like 20 seconds to spare or something like that. Notice this corner. Our hound is still sitting there. These archers will eventually kill the hound. Usually what ends up happening is a wizard on cleanup comes over and picks a fight with it, which is what's going to happen here, I think. Meanwhile, everything else is kind of clearing its way. You notice that Karma hasn't popped the queen yet. I should have asked him before, but my guess is they're saving it for potential hound fighting. Anyway, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. We're on cleanup. Here comes the cleanup wave. And, okay, here comes the wizard over to finish this fight. Now, this can be a problem if you're really low on cleanup troops. I've seen this actually kill the attack before. He's trying to poison the pups. But just, it's pretty hard to predict where those pups are going to go. I think eventually this poison is going to get them. So good job there, Karma. I don't remember if it actually kills any of them. Looks like it's going to, yep. So good job, Karma. Tough base. Took us 4 tries, which was a little surprising. Personally, if I'd been assigned it, I probably would have we wiped it, because that's very good at these open sort of layouts. The witches, as long as they can stay behind the golems, which they probably would on this base, do pretty well. Anyway, that's me. I suggested it. They didn't go with it. That's cool, though. Everybody has their own kind of ideas as to how to hit it. In hindsight's 2020. Okay, I want to talk about 12. 12 also took a number of hits, mostly from upper 8s, lower 9s, and Doja finally was the one that broke the camel's back on it. This is a good Gova Ho base, which I talked about in the other video. Doja didn't have Valkyries. He has like level 1 Valkyries, I think, maybe level 2, which isn't really that great for trying to go Vaho. So, and low level golems, whatever. He's a brand new 9, so we're close to it. Anyway, so he and I talked about other ways to hit this base, and we came up with not a go lava loon, just a go loon. And the idea being that if you look at the center area, we have 3 air defenses in one section of the base. If you can get in there with your kill squad, you can destroy this base, and we don't need the lava hounds anymore, because there's just nothing left to cause serious threat to the loons except those wizard towers. So that was the idea. I said, let's hit it from the top right, get the archer queen, get that X-bow, get the air defense, and then move into the center. 2 golems, need a lot of tanking. You're asking a lot of that ground force. So that's what he does. Being nice and patient. Again, bad lure. The clan we were fighting was very good on their base design. Lures were not easy anywhere. So we're just going to have to tough it out and go in. And it's a Dragloon lure. They're coming out to pick a fight. He gets that poison in. He gets lucky and gets a couple skeletons in the middle of it too. His Archer Queen's going to be helping. Barbarian King pretty much tanking for it, but it's not going to survive. At this point, I was a little worried that his golems wouldn't make middle and he wouldn't actually be able to clear those air defenses out. But the enemy Barbarian King was kind of being dumb, and the golems are going to hold out just long enough for that Archer Queen to get in there and do her part. So, like I said, once all those center air defenses are gutted, which is what happens here, Archer Queen went right for it. All 4 air defenses are down. Now the loons will be coming in, and there's just nothing to stop the loons. He's doing pinpoint defense. Kaffa always recommends that. I do too. I just have a hard time doing it in the middle of a fight. So good job, Doja, for managing to keep his calm long enough. Pinpoint being firing a couple of loons. Usually 2 loons is enough for any one given defense, as long as it's not an air defense. Or as long as there's not going to be multiple things firing at it. So anyway, he has plenty of loons to do this job, and cleanup is going to go pretty well. And great job, Doja. We tried a couple different attacks on this base, and since I have time, I'm going to show just one or so more of them off. I got to find them though. Okay, here's Locksmith. Sorry to pick on you, buddy. He tried a more traditional Go Wipe against the base. Go Wipe's a 2-star attack, guys. We should know this by now. But, you know, Locksmith was facing the same problem that almost the dojo was facing, except even a little worse, is that he doesn't have Town Hall 9 troops yet. He's a brand new Town Hall 9. He's got a level 2 Archer Queen. Most of his troopies are still Town Hall 8 troops. His camp is 205. So, I mean, asking him to hit this base was a little uphillish. I just didn't have any targets for him. You snooze, you lose. He came late to the war and lost his primary target because I was already assigning cleanup at that point. Anyway, okay, speed this up a little, sorry. So, came in with kind of the same idea. He was going to Go Wipe the top. Kind of piecemealed it. You know, guys, the Go Wipe, you kind of want to put both columns in at the beginning because you want that wide funnel. He's running the P.E.K.K.A.s in left, right, center, and they just kind of go wherever they're going to go. He puts a couple wizards behind the P.E.K.K.A.s. I'm going to slow this down now. But the wizards are kind of dead now because there just wasn't that many of them, and the center wasn't all that tied down. Obviously, without being able to pop an Archer Queen ability, she's not level 5 yet. She's going to be alive just until anything decides to focus on her. He still gets 2 stars out of it, which is what a good Go Wipe's good for. So, I mean, you know, no real harm there. But this is just a sample of one of the attacks we tried. Go Wipe, good time to show that Go Wipe does struggle with all these multi-section bases. You see a lot of wall sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that had to be punched through manually. 6 even up here. Wall Breakers got that top one, but six sections had to be punched through manually with defenses hitting. Can really stall the attack out. And then yeah, 2 8s hit the base also. I mean, I didn't expect a ton out of the 8s. Okay, best. Sorry to pick on you, buddy, especially since you're a trap. Oh, that was a defense. Never mind. I don't remember him hitting it like that. Okay. Well, anyway, number of attacks on that base. So, I already highlighted the hit on 6 and the Go Va Ho attack. I do want to highlight, and I already hit on, or Karma's hit on 5 with the Go Va Ho, so I want to highlight Jake's pretty failed attempt. Okay, he told me in feed that he was driving in the car or whatever, and he dropped the golem in the wrong spot, and then he had to improvise. This attack went terribly, so why am I bothering to watch it? Guys, 24 hours to plan a war. 24 hours to hit. The schedule doesn't change. We've won 86 wars now. I mean, time. Schedule it. If you can't participate, don't. If you can participate, you know, I'm asking 10 minutes of your time over a 2-day period. Maybe a little more if I have to talk to you about planning. So make it a priority. Get in, get your hits, set a clock on your phone if that's what you have to do. There is a timer on the war, but don't make yourself pull over with 5 minutes left in the war to make an attack on the side of the freeway and rush, because it's never going to go well. And it doesn't here. Luckily, we didn't need it, but you know, a lot of things that went wrong with this attack. Jake's normally a very good attacker. Could tell that things were just going horribly here. So I just wanted to highlight this one because I wanted to say, hey guys, pay attention to the wartime. Other than that, so this one I want to talk about. WoW is our only 10 in this war, fighting a max defensive 10. WoW had a pretty uphill struggle against him here. He did pretty good considering his limited experience fighting Town Hall 10s. Deacon had a few tips for him afterward. I gave him some advice, but I don't have very much experience fighting max 10s either. WoW definitely kind of leading the charge as far as our Town Hall 10 trials. You know, we have a few guests here and there, but to be honest, most of our guests are generally only going for 1 or 2 stars in the 10s, so kind of hard to learn from a lot of them. Anyway, so WoW coming in with the idea was a really heavy go wipe right into the center. We expected a Tesla farm in the middle. That's what the freeze was for. And just kind of get right in there and pound that town hall. And that's what he did. He did it. He got the town hall. He pounded the middle. Ended up only being a couple Teslas right there. The other ones were a little further away. But doing his job. So what I am aiming for here is with our Town Hall 10s, as some of us start transitioning over, it's going to happen pretty quickly here. You guys, and even with regular attacks, it doesn't hurt to bring 4 archers. Bring archers, guys, because there's usually going to be an outlying building. There's been a lot of 99% attacks. This is a 49% attack. An archer right here would have been 50%. Those defenses are not in range to stop an archer on this dark barrack. They probably would have gotten anything up there. He tried really good. He got 49%. I don't fault WoW at all for this. I'm using this as a learning experience. Guys, try to, he brought 10 level 6 wizards. Bring 9, bring 4 archers. And it's just contingency planning, guys. Even if you don't plan for everything, even if you don't look ahead for everything, if you bring the archers, then you have them if you need them. And if one wizard makes or breaks the war attack, I haven't seen it too often. So start bringing those archers. And we already looked over this in the Go Vaho video. Again, corner huts cost Karma the 3rd star on this. So Karma is not used to hitting first. He's used to following up. Making excuses for him. We all should have seen the huts. So guys, remember, bring the archers, get the huts. If he had brought archers just as a matter of course, if he just brought them, he'd have had this. So guys, it's a really good thing to think about. Drop 1 loon. Drop 1 wizard. Bring 4 archers. Bring 5 archers for the corner huts, for just whatever. And oftentimes you'll find that you just end up using them in cleanup. But there are times where you'll be glad you brought them and you can drop them on the corner hut. So please try to do that in future wars. Not something I even always do. It doesn't mean I can't try to make us all better with it. Okay, so Jake ended up crushing this base, so I thought I'd mention it briefly. Guys, anybody who Town Hall 8 or higher should have a double giant bomb spot, at least one. Even if you don't put a double giant bomb in it, have a double giant spot. Because if you don't, your base is dead to hogs 95% of the time. Jake's just going to run this base over. He looked at it. The first thing we're looking for, Go Hog is a very strong attack. Probably the strongest to Town Hall 9. If you look around, you don't see a double giant bomb, the base is asking for it. And this one was, and he obliged. It dies. He probably didn't even need the jump because the queen was exposed. You see her hop over that one wall to get to the golem. Suicide King's going to come in. He didn't even need a lock on her. The wizard's got her. But anyway, he's punching a good hole here, setting off some bombs, jumping in for good measure. Most of this isn't even needed at this point. He has 25 max hogs, or 28 max hogs, 26. They must be coming in now. But, the idea here, guys, is that when you're building your defenses, get those double bombs in there. So I wanted to talk about... Is Elena the one I wanted to look at? Okay, Elena's on Quake Bolt here. So we have 3 air defenses. She's going to lock one of them out. Remember, guys, level 5 bolt for Quake, please. I see that asked all the time. It's level 5 bolt. You saw she dropped the Quake first, then the bolts. Kills it. I'm not entirely sure if you drop the bolts first, then the Quake, if it kills it. I've seen them survive before. Might be a timing issue, but to be safe, drop the Quake first. And then she doesn't really care a whole ton about the dragon, the CC dragon. She'll poison it to slow it down and reduce its attack, but it's just going to die. So she's on Quake Bolt. The idea is that you ruin one of the air defenses so that the remaining ones are all on one side of the base, and then you can send loons at both of them, which is exactly what she does. Got to watch that pusher. And the pusher actually ends up causing her fits through most of this. I'm going to speed it up now. She tries to snipe it, but can't do it. Anyway, if you're going to Quake Bolt, make sure that the air defenses are a little more exposed like they were on this base. That way you're not worried about having to fight through a lot of stuff, because you're not going to have much spell support for your dragons on the rest of it. So, if you're going to Quake Bolt, look for exposed air defenses. Now, with them all having 3 air defenses, makes it a little more rough. Is this the one? I think this is the one I wanted to show off. No, this is a triple bolt one. Sorry, Ox. Is this the one? Okay. So Thane is on Rage Shield Dragons here, doing a good job. You got to come in behind that pusher, guys. I saw Drex make that mistake. I'm going to highlight that. Sorry, Drex. But for the most part, you got to come in behind that pusher. The pusher can cause all kinds of problems, especially now that our Town Hall 7s have 3 air defenses. He dropped his loons pretty high up, but I told him to do it with the northern tip, so he's kind of trying to follow orders there. And just bringing them down at the base. Aggressive placement of the rages makes all the difference in the world. He dropped his spells way later than I wanted him to. We talked through it. He sits right next to me when he does his attacks. But he got it done. So I would have probably dropped all those spells about 5 seconds earlier apiece. But, like I said, he got it done. The point being that against 3 air defenses, when you have them like that, where you had 2 that are really well centered, a Quake Bolt is kind of risky, because you're going to hit one, but they have to dig deep to get the other 2, and that may or may not work out very well. So Rage Shield can kind of pull everything through the base like it did here and help you 3-star. So that brings me to, unfortunately for him, I want to talk about Drex really quick. Sorry, Drex. I gotta find him. Big wars. Lots of people. Lots of good attacks in here that I could highlight, guys. So sorry if I don't pull your name up. In general, we're good attackers. So I'm proud of the cats for that. Okay, so Drex on Rage Heal Dragons here. This one didn't end up going so well, and I want to talk about it. So the pusher is at the bottom, facing up, so he needs to come in around the south end. And we're kind of watching, being a little slow on his drops, kind of compensating for that dragon a bit. But here they come. He's using his king to kind of shorten the funnel up, and that's fine too. Now he drops his dragons in, or he drops his loons in on the east instead of the south. He should have come in behind the pusher. He didn't, and we're going to watch how much it costs him in a second here. Bad rage placement doesn't help too. He kind of placed it aggressively, hoping that they'd come into it, and a couple of them did, but it took him a few extra seconds, and he pushed them right. The pusher pushed them right out of it and away from the air defenses. So they do get the pusher, they do get the air defense, but now he has 2 buried air defenses. And the heal, so I want to stop on the heal. The heal is generally for the loons in a drag loon. When you're running a normal type of drag loon, which is 9 dragons, 3 loons, and 5 archers for the corners, or 4 loons, and 5 clan castle max loons, you really want to heal those balloons, because the balloons are actually what's taking out your air defenses most of the time. So the more proper course here would have been to push up from the bottom with those balloons and heal them as they came up. Healing a dragon, 2 dragons, is not the most effective use of your spells. They're pretty tanky units, and they tend to spread out a lot like here. You're only going to get 1 or 2 of them, which is exactly what happened here. It helped a little bit, but nowhere near enough. And the attack is going to end up falling apart. So Drex, of course, is learning quickly. This is one of his first attacks off of the triple bolt style attack, which he's a Town Hall 7, so he doesn't have a Quake Bolt option. Yeah, this would have been a pretty rough one to triple bolt. So, like I said, a lot of stuff I could highlight. They never even touched WoW. They 1-starred Joe despite 2 hits. I got leveled after 2 hits. Jake was leveled. Bob, Bob's base is interesting, so I'm going to highlight it a little bit. So Bob and I talked about ways to improve this base. He just moved his town hall to the center It was where the southern elixir storage is. They can lure on it. His idea, he says normally what happens is he gets hit hard from the bottom or from the bottom right, because his town hall's there. So it isn't this time. What they ended up doing here was after the lure, they queen walked him, and they're going to time out on him. So sorry for the spoiler alert, but hey, the replays are all there anyway. What I kind of wanted to talk about with this is a queen walk. They did a really good queen walk here. Queen walk is generally going to be... Oh, this is the wrong hit. They must have hit him again. Let's see. This one they did just come in hard at him from the bottom. Okay. So they came in hard at him from the bottom and got to. It's an anti-3-star layout. It's going to happen. I wanted to go to the other one, though, because I wanted to show off the queen walk. It happened closer to the beginning here. There we go. Okay, 4 healers is the queen walk. Queen walk is really good for these kind of slightly more spread out bases. When you want to do a really good job of funneling, and you got a lot to kill. So he does time out on the queen walk, which is of course one of the problems. If you put too much time into a queen walk, you're going to time out. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So he had a wizard trying to shorten the field. Now the queen comes in. Healers come in. 4 healers is as much as you get after that. They have reduced effect, so if you put 5 on, it's not much better than 4. Rage, he kind of missed the rage placement here a little bit. Rage actually works really well on the healers because it increases the amount they heal and the speed. Like if you have 4 healers on a queen and their healers are raged, they're going to bring her back up to full pretty quick, which is what you see actually happening right as she runs through that rage pit. So a lot of times you'll see a rage used on the queen and the healers during the queen walk. So the queen walk, another thing I want to point out for a queen walk, the queen will hit up to 5 squares in. So if we count squares here, she has the wall, a 1 space gap, and then a 1, 2, 3 point square for that defense she killed. So wall, 1, 1, 2, 3. After that, she isn't targeting anymore. So if you're trying to protect yourself from a queen walk, your defenses need to be more than 5 squares in. So you'll see these defenses in the back here, this mortar, this archer tower. You get to kind of keep plugging at that queen as she works her way around because they're in range and out of the queen's range. But when you're using a queen walk, you should watch out for that. If they're more than 5 squares from, if she has to go 5 squares from the other side of the wall to get them, she won't. So keep that in mind when you're planning. There she goes. So she has nothing else in her. I don't know why she didn't go for the builders, but she decided she wanted the wall anyway, which actually is better for this guy. But he's losing a lot of time. He's already lost half the time for the attack on the queen walk. So now I think he figured out that he's losing a lot of time, and his queen's going to go in and die on all those defenses. So he sends the tanks in. This guy was a pretty good attacker. He just got kicked out of the clan for not showing up as a second attacker, else I might have tried to poach him. But we don't need guys that don't show. So he misdropped his rage again. The queen is almost dying. He got lucky, and the golems managed to tank enough to keep it alive, and now it's back up to max. He's got the rest of his attack going in now. He didn't lure. That hurt because Bob was running a witch. He should have poisoned the witch a while ago, but he didn't, which helped us. Anyway, so that was a really good queen walk. This queen's going to continue to be alive here. I'm going to speed it up just so we can get through the time. Spread defenses are having a really hard time killing that queen. Eventually, when the queen's maxed and the golems aren't, the healers leave and they go die. But the point being here, the queen walk actually killed most of what was killed on the top half of that base. So, if you're looking to queen walk, that's the right way to do it. You need to make the funnel, run the 4 healers, and hope those points help there. Doja stood strong against a couple of attacks. This one was a 96%er. Doja was pretty equal to his opposite, which means that, he's a newer Town Hall 10, or 9, sorry, not 10. This is a go wipe. They got most of it. I'm going to kind of speed through as we talk. Go wipe's generally a 2-star attack. We all know that by now. This guy did pretty good with it, you know, but all these different wall sections and things you're going to see, they're just hitting on. The defenses get to just go and go and go while these guys are pounding through walls. We're cutting through. Let's see, at this point, we have, those are wall breakered open. This guy brought a lot of wall breakers, but we had to cut through one gap here, 2, 3. They jumped over a gap there, 4, and they're stuck on walls there. You know, so you're talking a lot of gaps that they had to cut through. Level 9 walls have 4,000 hit points apiece, so it's like putting an extra 5 town halls in front of them. And, you know, you saw it right here make a difference that Pekka went down because those 3 defenses were able to chew on it. So walls save stars. We definitely saw a lot of that this war. And Go Wipe should not be used on walls or bases like this with a lot of walls. So those are some of the highlights of the war. Our takeaways from this, you saw how I started off talking about the hound lure. If you're dealing with a hound, you know, pull it off to the side like Karma did, and then just forget about it and get on with your attack. Unless you're running like a Pentalavaloon that just could care less about a hound. But, you know, if you're running a ground-based force where you're worried about popping the hound and having the hound ruin your funnel, that's the way to do it, is to get it out, lure it, and move away. So these guys ran a lot of really hard-to-lure bases in their top. You know, I want to talk about that just for a second. Like this base, look at that. You just can't lure it without investing a lot. You know, that sort of thing has proven to be pretty successful. Those 30 points of troops you get in a level 5 clan castle, Town Hall 9, are pretty good. So you'll see a lot of their bases. This one, he gave the lure up for this weird layout. But he got 3-starred. This one did not get 3-starred. Now it looks like you can lure here. Guys, I want you to pay attention to this, because this is something I do and I've seen others do, and we saw a lot of it in this war. This base is an anti-3-star. It's off-centered Town Hall, more centered to stop the lure. If it's more centered to stop the lure, but it's giving up what looks like an obvious lure out one side, guys, you need to look out for trolling Teslas. These guys had them. There was trolling Teslas all over this side that stopped those hogs coming in for the cheap lure. So if you see something off-center like that, they don't plan these bases perfectly and then just let them be lured like that. If this is if you see these types of well thought out base designs that are anti-3-star with bows up and downs and you know, air defenses in places that can match each other and hard to reach archer queens and all that stuff, an obvious mistake like letting a huge lure spot out usually isn't what's going to happen. See, again, you know, really hard to lure. You can see a lot of these defenses right on the lure line. So when you see something like that, this defense out front, now all of a sudden you have what looks like an easy gap right here and here. No, there isn't. Actually, that happened to Karma. He tried to lure. He ran right into a Tesla. See it all the time, guys. Obviously, it's easier to talk about it now, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because I do see it a lot. And Karma will probably complain to me for not having mentioned it to him in time, but life goes on. I can't think of everything all the time. Just trying to help everybody raise their awareness. This one, I had just a glimmer of hope on the lure here. You know, everything else was pretty well matched, and he had that wizard tower in place. So I didn't think there could have easily been a trolling Tesla there, but I took my shot at it anyway and was able to complete the lure on this air defense using the camp as my launch point. I'm sure he'll fix that for next war. But anyway, these anti-3-star layouts, this was an easy lure, are pretty cool. They work really well, and we definitely struggled in this war. Govaho is good against them, but our guys are still learning it. And, you know, just kind of where it was. We mostly were just 3-starred up. You know, Doja and Deacon not being 3-star was more to do with their guys not going. You know, both those bases are beginning Town Hall 9 bases. They had the attacks to kill them. They just didn't. So these guys definitely lost by not showing up. So we appreciate it when everybody shows up to our wars. Anyway, guys, oh, we'll leave off with the fun one. This was with my blessing. My patented 110 minion 8 Quake attack. Dread had no viable targets left and asked, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? Let's have some fun. So we'll be laughing about this one for a little while, except Karma, who's probably breaking his phone in half listening to this. But sorry, Karma. Anyway, he quakes open the ends, because why not? What do you do with it? And then just kills the base. Woo! Blue Swarm. Go us. Good job, Dreadix. Way to 3-star. Anyway, I hope this video overall was helpful. The war summary is a little longer now because that can be. And, you know, if I missed things, if you guys wanted me to talk about other things, and if there are different types of information you'd like me to highlight in these things, please tell me. And I would love to help. Most heroic defense was Joe. Their 5 looks like their MVP. And Ricky Bobby was our most heroic attacker. We lost average destruction by the end, so I'm glad, very, very glad that we won, because that was going to be tough. These guys were really good. Alrighty, guys. I'll see you guys on feed. Yeah, BG's back. We'll see how that goes. I hope she stays. Is there anything else worth talking about? I don't think so. Have a good war, guys. Or have a good break. I'll see you on Thursday.